Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the news of the Travis Konecny extension and getting into my thoughts on it. So before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the Philadelphia Flyers are in the headlines today as they have signed Travis Konecny to an 8-year extension for $70 million. This goes a long way in protecting the top six, or at least having a top six forward that's been able to produce. That is coming off of a career high 68 points a season. On top of that too, this has been somebody that's been able to produce at a high level for a while now, or at least a good and consistent level. He has 3 60-plus point seasons over the past 4 years and has been able to play at a 62-point pace over the past 7 seasons. Now, some of those years he didn't even crack 50 points, but he wasn't able to play as many games as he would have liked, but still seeing a lot of consistency, which is nice when you hand out these long-term deals. And you can throw in the fact that he has 5 seasons with 24 goals or more. I know 24 is a weird number, but he had 3 years in a row where he finished with 24 goals every single season. Just something, again, to throw out there and say, hey, consistency. And for a team looking to bridge the gap with what they have on their roster now compared to the future, this is one of those deals that works out relatively well. You have Konecny that is 27 years old, that may not even be hitting the peak of his career just yet, and he is on a side that has got a lot of younger players that are potentially going to be a big part of what the future looks like. But seeing a guy like him that is getting that long-term extension that could be a Flyer for life, he even said that here just recently, probably today actually, where he said he wanted to be a Flyer for life. This is unique and exciting in an era where players are just on the move a lot in today's game, which is fine. But to have somebody that could crack the 1,000-plus game played mark with one franchise is awesome. And I know Claude Giroux was able to do it. He played exactly 1,000 games, if I'm not mistaken, with Philadelphia. This is a better possible situation for Konecny, where he really could finish out his career, where of course you have Giroux that went to Florida and now is in Ottawa. Anyway, back to Travis and getting away from Giroux. Konecny is somebody that could be in a great spot too, as ever since John Tortorella and him shared the building together, he has played about 20 minutes a night on average and is in a great spot again, where next year, after setting a career high this year, maybe it's another season of career highs, as it could be more of that to come in the next year, 2 or 3. And Torts really could lean on Konecny here in the coming years, as he has usually been somebody that likes to have veteran players that are producing, get a lot of minutes. And while I don't really imagine Konecny being a veteran because he just turned 27 here recently, he is somebody that's played over 500 games in the NHL up to this point and is a guy that probably will be one of those go-tos. But you are seeing a team that's going to be needing a lot of direction and hopefully able to have a good year after having 87 points last year but falling apart before the playoffs arrived, where they just missed out. And there are some concerns, of course, too. You have the fact there's going to be a lot of changes in net, and then you're looking at the younger players where some of these guys could be asking for bigger roles and more opportunities, and they may deserve it, but it's a little bit hard to figure out how exactly you're going to be able to give them those roles where they can step up and shine, or they could falter, I guess. But seeing some of these things, while they are bad, there are plenty of positives too, because while their power play was bad last year, last in the league actually, they have some things like Konecny possibly helping them have a bounce back year, and the arrival of a name like Matvei Mishkov, where those two could build a real connection on the man advantage this year and just be a small part in getting this team turned back around where they are a legitimate playoff side. I'm not necessarily saying they're going to go out there and be a top 10 unit on the man advantage next year, but just something that I am looking forward to. And for Konecny, I think there's going to be a lot of things you can look forward to for him, because he is a player that's coming off of back-to-back 30-plus goal seasons. Again, a near 70-point year. He had a lot of offensive zone time last year, is a fast player, and knows his role with this team going forward, at least probably for the next 3 or 4 years, unless there's a lot of change. And I think for the organization too, it is really nice to see them hand out this contract, because it kind of leans into them saying, we feel good enough to give you this deal, and we feel good enough with the direction of the team that you are part of that future, and we feel optimistic, because you don't hand out 8-year deals if you are a rebuilding side typically, unless, you know, things are getting really weird there. But for Philadelphia, it's just kind of fun because of the fact, while they aren't a true Stanley Cup contender for a while now, they are a team that's been in the thick of it. In the 80s especially, there was some really close moments where they almost won. There were probably at least 3 opportunities they could have had to win the Stanley Cup there. The 90s, of course, they were there. The 2010s, they had a little bit of opportunity too. And I'm hoping for Konecny, he can be that guy that maybe is part of a championship roster. I don't know. At the end of the day, is he going to be somebody that gets shipped off in the future, where it's a similar situation to Giroux, where he plays a lot of games with him, but he never wins a championship? The potential for that to happen is probably the most likely out of all the scenarios, but I am either hoping that Konecny can help Philadelphia win their first championship since, what, 75 or 6, or that he could at the very least be a player that played his entire career with him. Would it be heartbreaking to see him play 15-ish years with one side and never win a championship? Yes, it would be, but it would speak to his character and wanting to be with one team for the entirety of the situation, and I am really thrilled to see this, and I really would like to see Konecny have a good year, even if the team doesn't. That way the fans can point to him and say, oh, you're part of the reason why we're not winning. They could instead say, we're thankful we have you here because we aren't where we want to be, but you clearly are one of our better players. Anyway, what do you think of the Konecny deal? Do you think that this is too long of a deal because it will be kicking in not after this season, or actually after this season, but it'll also be a relatively large sum of money, or maybe he's not going to be living up to that by the end of it? Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go with hockey already. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.